Well, Pep Guardiola, how do you like them Newcastle apples? What a result for Newcastle. The instant match reaction to Manchester City home is coming up, Newcastle fans. So make sure you stick around. That will ding-dang do. Forget about the form against Man City in the past. Forget about 2 wins in 20 against this opposition. Eddie Howe's got one over on Pep Guardiola, and nothing feels sweet. And I tell you what, before we get into this analysis, I will say that was Newcastle's best performance of the season against very, very, very good opposition. Newcastle fans, if you're new around here, do us a little favour. If you want to listen to the rest of this match reaction, before you do, give us a little like you do, goes a long way. And whack that subscribe if you want to stick around. There'll be a full match vlog with Man City fans, Newcastle fans, you name it, coming in the next 24 hours after this video. Look, that felt massive. Eddie Howe said at the Newcastle Foundation awards dinner that he'd been working on things. We know he's an obsessive manager, but we know he's got things wrong. He got things wrong against Brentford. Things haven't been working. The away form hasn't been good, and that hasn't sorted itself today. But Newcastle came up against a very difficult Man City side. And I went into this match thinking, look, you can't have the expectation that we're going to win. That would, I don't want to say deluded, it wouldn't be, but it's a big ask. And I would have taken a draw all day. That was fantastic. Is this the start? Well, we'll touch on that later on in this video. Look, Newcastle first half. Let's talk about the starting line to begin with. Tino, Livramento, Lewis Hall. Let's not underestimate. I didn't get a chance to do a match preview for this one. Let's not underestimate how important they are to how Newcastle want to play. Regardless of defensive duties, and Livramento especially is a fantastic defender. His reading of the game, his pace, his interceptions, his ability to get forward but also track back, his height. Lewis Hall on the other side, very good in the tackle, not so good in the air, but a very solid left back, a natural left back. But regardless of anything else, it's how they change our system. We like to press from the front, and Livramento and Hall, how they like to get forward naturally allows your Murphys, your Gordons, your Barnes to push on defence and make that more of an option, so that the opposition then have a problem because they have to drop a couple of yards deeper because the press is that high and they have to try and play through it. And it was great to see them back in the first half. Look, it started ferocious. It had one of them energies. I was in the pub before and you felt like 5:30, Christmas is approaching, was always going to be a big atmosphere, and it was a big atmosphere. And the pints are flowing. It just felt like one of them nights. And, you know, Man City were up for it. Man City are used to big atmospheres, but the game started really ferocious, back and forth, really, really fast. Couple of juicy tackles, couple of come-ons. And I know, aside from tactics, that can be really big at St James's Park. So that was how it started. But that first half, look, I thought Newcastle were really good. Tino Livramento in particular coming back into the team. He was guilty of giving the ball away early doors, but he really pushed on. And I don't want to make massive statements and say that it was obvious that we've been missing him, but it was massively obvious that him and Lewis Hall just offered us something different. Their ability to read the game so well, but also get us up the pitch. And that first half could have been a cricket score from both teams. Voltemade, a fantastic ball at the box. Donnarumma. Oh, God, we've seen Donnarumma have an awful day for PSG in that famous night. He was up to the task, and it was a fantastic save. Voltemade couldn't do much more. So you curse and you look there. Man City have a couple. Haaland, Nick Pope, it was at him. He didn't have too much to do. Phil Foden, as the half went on, he's got to do better. I think he opened his body a little bit too much. So we've got a couple of let-offs there. But that Barnes one across the box, Voltemade played through. How nice was it to see Voltemade getting chances higher up the pitch? We've seen him doing it for Germany in the national break, and he did. And if he goes the opposite side, Donnarumma reads him like a book, unfortunately, like a German book, and he wins that one. And it was back and forth. The Haaland chance, the Foden chance, Voltemade's two, and then Harvey Barnes. Lovely move, Murphy across the box. All he's got to do is put it in the back of the net, and we'll touch on Barnes, who more than made up for that in the second half. But that's what sort of match it was. And look, I thought in the first half, I was concerned about Newcastle's 4-3-3 system. I do think Man City were playing through it a little bit. Eddie Howe still, in my opinion, needs to look in a flat Bruno, Joelinton, Tonali, because when you've got Doku, who was floating all over, I think he's been a mainstay of their attacking threats this season. Haaland, if you try and keep him quiet, limit him, he's so used to playing against a low block, he's not used to getting many touches on the ball, and he didn't have many. He had the chance, he probably should have scored. Nick Pope gets the better of him, but he's a frustrated figure if you keep him quiet, and we did. And look, Fabian Schär on the left-hand side was a surprise to me with Malik Chow on the right, but it was interesting to see that was probably for the balls that he could ping around. and catch Man City out with them playing quite a high line at times. I thought Fabian Schär slotted in lovely. Sven Botman coming out surprised me a little bit. But that first half, we chipped away. I was concerned about them playing through that midfield, but I thought we were getting the ball wide. And the likes of Aston Villa, Brighton especially, the teams that have had joy against Man City this season, they've been on some great form more recently, have got the ball wide and they've used those wide areas. And Livramento and Hall, I cannot emphasise enough them coming in for this match in particular, compared to all of the opposition, was absolutely massive for us. And it was. And Barnes was always an outlet. You know Barnes doesn't want to take a man on. I've argued quite a lot that he's not suited our system. But in that first half, you've just got to keep chipping away, because we did miss chances, but they did. And our substitutes options, no Gordon, no Wissa, they weren't quite there. Yes, Alanga should be a good option to bring off, but we know that he hasn't been. So you go into the second half, you regroup at half time, you think, right, this feels a cagey one where one goal could decide it. Second half comes, and look, it's an intense start. A big save from Donnarumma, but obviously it's offside. In the aftermath, again from Voltemade, but that just gives the crowd a little bit more. Even if it was offside, it gives the crowd a bit of energy, and you still feel like that first goal is going to be decisive. And then we keep ploughing away and we get it, and it's a lovely move. Bruno, Barnes, lovely interlinking between them, and that is what Harvey Barnes brings to this team. I will argue till I'm blue in the face that he's not always suited to our system, because Eddie Howe likes to get the ball out wide early. That's where a lot of our threat comes, because our midfield is not high enough to support a Voltemade for the central areas to be our main attacking threat. It's always out wide with overlapping fullbacks. And it was just a lovely first time finish. Donnarumma had absolutely no chance for that one. Full pandemonium in the Newcastle concourse as I fell. God, I almost lost my microphone out of my pocket that I interviewed some fans with. And you've got to build on that. But Man City come firing back, and full credit to them. Man City have got some fantastic footballers. You've got to switch back on, even amongst the pandemonium. And I haven't seen it back, they get that goal from the set piece, couple of bounces, I think it's Diaz fires it in. And what I'm most proud about with this Newcastle team is the response, because Newcastle switched on very, very quickly when it would have been easy to just fully be like, right, let's try and defend a point, let's go for a point. Not many options to bring off the bench. And Newcastle went straight up the other end. They caused a couple of problems, won a couple of corners, crowd right behind them, and Barnes again, and it's not a finish. I've seen so many bodies around me trying to see it, but it looks like a lovely first-time finish. He is a natural goal scorer. I would go as far as arguing he is the biggest natural goal scorer in our team, minus maybe Johan Wissa, who I've never seen. He's that good. I would have said Callum Wilson before he left the football club. Barnes just knows where the goal is, and he stepped up at a time when Anthony Gordon's not been firing in the Premier League, and that brings us in the lead again. Lot of question marks. Apparently Bruno's foot looked very close to being offside. If you're unsure, in my opinion, it shouldn't take that long to look an offside decision. Just give the goal. Donnarumma on his hands and knees. Man City, look, I see a pattern with the big six clubs. Big six, I hate even using that term. When it's all going well, it's all going well. But the likes of Haaland, nicest guy in football, but he whinges, they all do. They will whinge and do anything to get the decision in their favour. So there was lots in the build-up to that. Referee giving way too many decisions, too many soft decisions that slow the game down. Even let the game flow where there's a potentially an opportunity for the team to attack who've been given the free kick. But we get the lead again, we've got something to defend. Then Eddie Howe makes a change, and I totally understand Voltemade, as good as he was, maybe not his best day, and we're seeing more of that, and we still need to learn managing him. But Alanga comes on, and that makes sense, because we do naturally drop deep. And yes, Newcastle fans might be saying, why were we trying to defend that lead? Man City, you're going to have the ball. It's one of the best teams in the world. You cannot expect to have all of the football and not concede chances to a team as good as Man City under Pep Guardiola. But they didn't create too much. It was balls lumped into the box. It was balls out wide. Lewis Hall goes down with no Dan Burn. Jacob Murphy's asked to play a left back, which concerned me. Sven Botman comes in, and there was a full shift again. But backs to the wall. Newcastle really dug deep. Willock and Alanga offered them legs. We dragged the ball up the pitch where we could. Sandro Tonali never stopped, and we got over the line. And man for man, collectively for me, and was it down to Livramento and Hall? Possibly. That was our best performance of the season. Standout performance for me, we've got to start with Tino Livramento. I thought he started a little bit sloppy in terms of possession, but the energy was there, and his decision making, he's driving up the pitch, he's breaking up play against a very tricky Doku who was good at times. And I just think him and Lewis Hall, I think Livramento probably stole the show out of the two of them. Kieran Trippier, as good as he is, 35 years old, he offers that experience, that leadership, and those set-piece abilities as well with his right foot. Livramento is just a class above, and if he can just fine-tune that attacking element of his game, he was absolutely fantastic. I can see why Man City are looking at him, but hands off. Sandro Tonali again, running till the last minute, chasing every ball down, driving the ball up the pitch. He is the sort of player, when he's on form against a team as good as Man City, he wouldn't look out of place in that team. He wouldn't look out of place in any team in the world. Thought Malik Chow was brilliant. Fabian Schär deserves a shout coming back into the side. And Harvey Barnes, he's going to be in and out of the team with Anthony Gordon because they're such different players. He doesn't always take a man on, but my God, does he know where the goal is. Fantastic. Man for man, I think it was a response, but it's only a response if Newcastle can take this. Yes, Marseille's a big match on Tuesday. I'm not denying that. In a very hostile, unusual atmosphere, but we need to take this to Everton away. If we can play like that at Everton, we are a better team than Everton, man for man. We can start getting some points, but let's make that decision in a week, and let's hope that the boys regroup and Champions League doesn't screw us too much. Eddie, if you're watching this, and I know you're not, rotate your team. Champions League, we go unsteady, but Marseille are a little bit indifferent. We can move players around and bring other players in. Not everywhere, not like a Voltemade, not Malik Chow, but we can move players around. Onwards and upwards we go. We've got to be happy about a win against Man City. That was huge. Let us know your thoughts down below. If you've watched this far, give us a like, give us a subscribe. I'm going to go and smash an Indian and have a couple of pints to celebrate. Away, Eddie House Mags.